How's it going, guys? Banshee Games here, and welcome back to Surviving in Drucker County. This is the final episode in this State of Decay 2 series, and if you haven't watched the first 3 episodes, I highly recommend you go back and watch them because everything in this video will make a lot more sense if you've seen the first 3. Without further ado, we're just going to jump right into it, guys. I hope you enjoy. One of the first things that I did when I got back in was claim a medical outpost near the old base, because this entire game I haven't had a reliable source of medical supplies, and late game that's going to become a really big issue, so I decided to take care of it. Shortly after claiming that medical outpost, I decided it was time to set a marker for the last couple of play cards. The sooner that I get those knocked out, the sooner I'll be able to start the final mission and end up beating the game. When I got there, Jigsaw called out a bloater that was straight ahead of me, so I didn't have to worry about walking into one of those clouds, and I immediately realized this was going to be an easy play card as it was a very open area. After dealing with the bloater, I decided to go ahead and finish off the play card. It didn't take too long before it went down, and then I used the rest of my time in the area to go ahead and look for important stuff, such as a toolkit and a couple other items. With that other play card out of the way, there was only one thing standing in between me and the final mission, and that was the final play cart. I decided to post up on the porch just outside of where the play cart was located, took one of my 9mm rifles and started unloading into the thing, and then unfortunately the porch got a little bit too crowded, so I headed on inside, ran straight into one of the plague gases that was being produced by the play cart, and then finished off the rest of it while headshotting a zombie from the kitchen area. And now there are no more play carts on the map. After taking on the last play cart that was on the map, I ran into this one dude named Wes, and he had a really interesting mission set up. The other 2 members in his group were abducted by a Red Talon agent and were being held hostage as part of her group. Wes wanted them back alive, but this meant I was going to have to kill the Red Talon agent while the others were also shooting at me. So I went ahead and headed on over to try and address the situation. When I first got to the stables that they were posted up at, I immediately realized this was going to be way easier than I thought. All I would have to do is post up behind one of the walls and wait for the Red Talon agent to reveal herself. Take her down with a headshot just as she shot a gas grenade that didn't hit me because I was posted up behind the wall. Safe slingshot from a couple of zombies that were trying to overwhelm him. And Wes's buddies didn't want to hitch a ride back, so they ended up just hightailing it back to base. So shortly after dealing with this zombie, I got in the car and did the same. After returning to Wes to let him know that his buddies were okay and were actually on the way, he was so happy that he gave us a hunting crossbow and some boats to go along with it. More importantly though, we're going to have a new group of friendly survivors on the map to resort to whenever we need some assistance. I decided it was time to pay my favorite group of survivors a visit, but unfortunately, this was going to be the final visit. This meant breaking up the group and adding Bud to our community, which I was really happy about, but unfortunately I had to tell the other 2 to kick rocks. So they left without hesitation, and myself and Bud got into the car and started making our way back to home base to get him kitted out with some better clothing and gear. On the way back to base, I stopped by a wandering trader who was selling some really high-tech weapons that I had never even seen before. So I immediately pocketed all of the melee weapons that I found interesting, and then decided to get back on the road shortly after. And I really wanted that repeating crossbow, but I didn't have enough influence for it, so I was going to have to come back and try and find that later. When I got back to base, I quickly started the next story mission, and this one was really simple. All I had to do was go from group to group and find out the supply and demand of resources. If one group had a lot of one resource, and another group needed that resource, we would set up a trade, and that was pretty much all that happened during this mission. I really don't feel like showing each individual pit stop for this mission, as it seems kind of like a waste of time in video, so I'm just going to show you guys the last visit. It's pretty straightforward. You go up to a group of survivors and ask them what they need, they give you something that they're willing to trade, and then you move on to the next one. About 15 minutes later, the next story mission became available. This one was called Greed. Basically, what happens in this mission is one of the groups of survivors on your map will voice their concerns towards another group, accusing them of trying to sabotage the trade. It's up to you whether or not you go in diplomatically or guns blazing, but unfortunately, whenever I arrived to the location, they were already hostile. So I decided to just go ahead and take them out rather than try and ask any questions, and the mission was over before I knew it. A little bit later, I was on my way to a nearby house because there was a survivor there who was requesting extra medical supplies. and since I had that medical outpost that I established at the beginning of the episode, I now had a surplus amount. And right as I was turning in, the final mission became available. While on my way, my leader Zach had mentioned that he had a great location picked out that was beneficial to all groups on the map, and we immediately made our way to the final mission area. I got to the trade summit and immediately started talking with the various leaders of the groups. Everything seemed to be going pretty well, until I immediately realized that the group who had earlier voiced their opinion towards the salvagers was actually the group trying to sabotage this thing. Immediately after that, a fight broke out between the trade summit and the group of survivors that were trying to sabotage the entire thing. Thankfully though, we didn't suffer any fatalities between any groups of survivors as we fought off all the attackers. Shortly after that though, we immediately realized that all of the commotion between the yelling and the gunfire attracted a really big wave of zombies, and this was the next step in the mission. I had to fight a wave of zombies for about 3 minutes, and then after the 3 minutes was up, all that was left was to take out any of the remaining zombies in the area. The Juggernaut, as you guys just saw, went down, but for some reason it was a lot stronger than any other Jug that I had fought before, and the last step was to take out this little crawler guy right here. After that, all I had to do was talk to the rest of this trade summit and continue as we had originally planned. And just like that, we have officially beat State of Decay 2. This is the trader ending, and you can get 4 different endings because depending on your leader, you can get the sheriff, the warlord, the builder, or the trader ending. If you guys want to play this game yourself, you can find it on Xbox. And if you have Xbox Game Pass, you don't even have to play it. You can just download it for free, along with all of the DLC content. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like and hit that subscribe button if you find yourself coming back to my content more often. Other than that, I don't really have much for you guys. I really hope you enjoyed this series. I had a fun time playing this game, and I'm going to continue to play it. And, yeah, just keep an eye out for more content, because I will be continuing to upload. Without further ado, guys, stay safe, make sure you're getting enough sleep, make sure you guys are eating well, and until next time, guys, be safe. Peace out.